Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is a big episode of the 9 to 5 Fitness Podcast. We've got one of our favourites here, the big man Cados. But firstly, Gab, how are you? How did you sleep?
Mate, I'm pretty good. I slept 100% sleep quality and 8 hours of sleep. So refreshed. But mate, I woke up really tired. Like literally, alarm was set for 7:30 because I had an interview to do and only ended up getting up around 8:30. Snoozed the alarm about 78 times. You could probably hear it. And mate, I was just... You know, do you ever get in that stage where it's like, you snooze it and it's only snoozed for 5 minutes and I literally do it 20 times in a row?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's a hard one and you'll come up with any excuses
and then
why.
When you get up and the day gone, you're like, why did I do that? But it's such like, at the time, like it's so difficult.
Yeah,
but,
huge vibe. I understand it,
yeah.
mate. Well, you're here now. You're looking good.
Thank you.
You
too. How are you and how did you sleep?
Yeah,
Sorry?
I'm very well, thank you. And I slept pretty well, probably a 9 hours sleep, which is good. We are joined by the big man, Cados. Cados, sorry for talking for so long with Gab about sleep, but we're interested. How did you sleep and how are you?
I slept okay and I'm well. Thanks for having me, lads. Sleep's not really my strong point. I used to probably after school, for the first 5 or 6 years after school, probably had like a 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. just sleep pattern, just because I could. I could smash a bit of
But
PlayStation.
That's still 8 hours.
Still 8 hours, but geez, it was almost nocturnal. I'm now attacking the sleep. So slept around 10 p.m, woke up at 5:30, so about 7 and a bit.
I know when you were editing that goal kicking challenge, one of the best videos today, you had a few cups of tea, stayed up until unearthly hours. What hours are we talking there, mate? 4 a.m. job?
Yeah, it was a 4 a.m. job, but when I get into the flow state, there's nothing better. So sometimes I can be overwhelmed by... You know, there's 3 or 4 different cameras. There's 35, 40 minutes of footage. I'm putting it all together. Mate, I can get overwhelmed by all. I need the graphics. I need the scoreboards. I need,
I mean, like, it paid off, though, because I'm biased, but that's the best video I've ever seen on YouTube before, let alone the best video you've made, and 150K views. And that's just the start. Like, that was just a 40-minute thing.
Well, that was an amazing day. So... To sort of take it back a little bit, I've been doing YouTube for 6-7 years now, and it can be a bit of a lonely place down at Geelong, just sort of chipping away at content. And it's quite funny. I'll mention to my mates, my TikTok didn't go too well, and they go, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, no one cares. No one cares about your TikTok.
It's not real anyway.
It's not real. It's just an app. But to come up on that day and collaborate with all you boys and to be able to bounce off each other with those sort of bits of advice was unbelievable. And then the content sort of spoke for itself. I think everyone sort of Instas and TikToks and my YouTube vid out of it went really well. So, that was one of my favourite days so far.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's crazy... The dynamic works so well. So like we all have our own videos that do well or maybe not so well.
Explain the group just for the listeners who's involved.
So for you guys who don't know the group, it is Louis and myself, Cados, Shepmates, so both Archie and Miles, and then Prime Train. And so we've all got our different avenues of content we'll make. Yours is very like AFL footy fan, those who are just like diehard footy fans. They love it.
It's for the nuffs.
Yeah, exactly. Louis and I... I'm more fitness-based, Louis more athletic/sport-based, plus a bit of other personality, other stuff. Then we got the Shep mates who are commentary/sports. And then we got Prime, who's Prime, right? Just a dickhead. No, we're kidding. We love you, Prime. And so we've all got our different avenues of content that does really well, building up our own followings. And then we come in, create content and play different characters, which I think people really enjoy. And the content when we're all together does so much better than our own individual stuff, which is crazy.
Hamish Blake has a quote that I'm stealing off a podcast that he was on, and he says, "A rising tide lifts all boats." So
beautiful.
And I think that's very true. So throughout like 2020 and 2021, there was just so many content creators sort of coming out of the woodwork, through TikTok, and it was unbelievable to see. And just to now meet some of them, especially the Melbourne-based ones, and start to work with you guys, it's super exciting, and it definitely makes my content creating so much more fun than just whipping up vids in my room at home.
To be honest, I didn't even know you until Prime collab with you, and so you're in Melbourne, and so I think it's just fantastic, and it's easy to view other content creators as almost competition. You're jealous of them getting followers, or they had this video.
Yeah.
But it's so not like that. It's like we can all bring each other up and create a community. And that quote that you said, I think it's the best way to put it.
Yeah, 100%. And you see like overseas and whatnot, like groups work, and people love that group element and that group banter. And I think if we are going to form a group, which is exciting, is everyone's bringing something to the table. It's not like one of us has 1 million followers and then no one else does. It's like we're all sort of doing it together, and we're not throwing in our own stuff to do it. It's like it'll just be fun. So that's really exciting.
It's very exciting. Now, just for the listeners at home, I'll give you a brief synopsis of Cados. Yes. He's predominantly a football content creator, football being AFL. He's got 29K on Instagram, 72K on YouTube, 62K on TikTok, and a genuine pioneer in the content game for footy. Mate, content and getting into it all, how did it start for you?
So I've been trying to get into the media since I can remember, to be honest. But after school, I was a little bit lost. Like, everyone was going to uni. I got me 29.75 ATAR and thought, probably not going to uni. So I went and started volunteering at community radio stations. And then from there, I was trying to make it in radio. I wanted to be Hamish and Andy. That's all I wanted to be. So I did radio school, which is a real thing, for 6 months. It's got cancelled now. I think
my dad was a teacher at a radio school.
Oh yeah, I was at the Melbourne Radio Training Institute.
He might have been there.
Oh, it was the best thing for me. We got so many connections. We did work experience at like the Fox and like real radio stations. And after that, in 2016, I was like, I am the man. Like, I know how to push the buttons. I know how to talk about Harry Styles and Kim Kardashian. I love all this pop culture stuff. Get me a gig. So then I started applying in Dubbo, Ballarat, everywhere in Australia. I applied, and I couldn't get a job. And I was complaining to my radio lecturer, going, "They hate me. Woe is me. World sucks." And he goes, "Mate, you just need to get over it. It's 2016. You can make a podcast or a YouTube channel. Why are you sitting there doing nothing?" And I went, yeah, good point. So I started making videos, and like early days, there was some wacky, weird skits. Terrible audio. It was filmed off a webcam. Horrible stuff. And that's why I look at TikTok these days, like the phone quality, and like the first videos that people make are 4K and they look amazing. Mine weren't. Mine were shocking. So I started whipping up those, but the ones that really took off were the AFL parodies. And from there, footy's like my biggest love. And from there, I've just enjoyed leaning into the footy stuff more and more. And sort of early days, I was a little bit hesitant because I knew that the ceiling wasn't very high and there was no one really else doing it. But since then, it's the only thing I really love to do. So it's like sort of stuff the ceiling. It's like, if I love doing this, I'm going to continue doing it. So yeah, just been making footy content for the last couple of years and loving it.
I wanted to comment on that one with the ceiling. And obviously Australia is much more smaller market size than UK/US. And I mentioned this on the business podcast I was on recently. But if you can still dominate that space,
true,
that's better than going somewhere where there's a bigger market size, but it's oversaturated.
Yeah.
So for instance, with the fitness-based content in America, you might get more followers, or the overall size of the pie is larger, but fitness influencers are a dime a dozen there. Whereas in Australia, the pie is way smaller, but there aren't that many good fitness creators in Australia, let's be honest. And it's the same with a lot of things in Australia. So if you can really dominate that space, and I think that's a really big opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's key. And it didn't quite twig to me for a while. Like, I was sort of using YouTube as my resume to get somewhere else. And it wasn't until like the last couple of years where I'm like, I could do YouTube forever. I could really build this and lean into this and create something out of this forever. So I'm not really business minded. Like, I haven't really brought out merch over the years. I haven't really got, I tried to fire the merch up, tried to fire the Patreon up. I'm more like that. Just, I love making videos and that's it. So I need to learn and develop those parts of the business that it is. But yeah, I've just been loving footy content and it's been ticking along nicely.
Just ticking back a few years, you mentioned earlier that you had a relatively low ATAR. Was that something that kind of, did that hit your confidence, or was that something you were nervous about? I just thinking, because we got a lot of younger kids listening, and probably people who are going through year 12. I didn't get a particularly high ATAR myself. I've never mentioned it on the podcast. Gab got a very high ATAR.
Yeah.
So I knew, coming out of school, I was going to be fine, but there was an element of fuck, I'm just not as good as some people around me.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, so I knew, like, I had the world's worst year 12. Like, I just had a shocking year. I did my back in footy, and I was essentially bedridden with it was like a partially slipped disc in my back. It was an impinging disc on my nerve, so it wasn't like fully
like herniated.
Yeah, it was so it was just rubbing
mate.
against my nerve, so I couldn't feel like down my left leg. It wasn't bad enough for surgery, but it wasn't mending with like cortisone injections. I just had an absolute howler year where essentially I was like lying in bed when I got home, because that was the only place that felt comfortable, and then just popping pills all day at school.
Yep.
And then there was other things, like drama was something I was really interested in. Media was something I was really interested in, but we didn't have enough electives. Like, no one picked it, so I couldn't do that. So I had 2 random subjects that I didn't like, and I just wasn't interested. So when I got the ATAR, I was like, oh yeah, sweet, like I don't really mind. I told Dad, and he was like, oh no. Oh, like what is
my son?
What is geez.
My only son?
He said, what is happening? And I said, Dad, you never went to uni. No one in our family ever went to uni. Like, why? And he was like, no, you need your education.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was really confused. And then I guess the only thing that I felt was a little bit tough, like the ATAR didn't bother me, but it was the lack of direction out of school. I was just floating around. So at least people who got an ATAR did a course for a couple of years that they might have binned off, but at least they were doing something straight away. I was floating around. I was like working at community radio stations. I was just doing, washing dishes every now and again down at Anglesey Golf Course. So that lack of direction was a little bit tough, but I don't know. I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I know people now who, might give me a chop out with my YouTube channel or whatnot, and they'll be going to uni. And they'll be learning things like, I've been learning how to vlog this week. And I go, but we're vlogging now. Like, and I didn't go to uni. Or like Connor Rogers, who's co-host of my potty, he's still at uni for media, and he's loving it. And it's really sort of giving him a direction and giving him something to, strive for. But he rocked up one day. I'm like, oh, what were you doing at uni today? He's like, oh, we're learning like how to make a podcast. And I'm like, well, we're on the number 1 potty, sports potty right now. So,
what better learning? Yeah.
So, yeah, I think uni's key for some people, but it's not for everyone. And I actually didn't know that until I got out of school. So that's a little lesson if people are out there.
Yeah, I don't know many people who've come out of school and if they haven't gotten a great ATAR, like they always find their way, Yeah. There's like people always find their way. Yeah, if you're in school right now, work your hardest, do your best to get the best score, but don't beat yourself up over it if you don't get the best score. What's done is done, and you got to deal with it a little bit.
I see sometimes, like, you'll see on TikTok, and there's people mocking podcasts about like white guy chats on podcasts.
Yeah.
And I know
it's
that
definitely us.
I know the ATAR one gets chucked up a little bit, but this is something that I've seen mocked before, but I'm going to say it again. I honestly was so because all we were told was to get the ATAR and go to uni. So I actually didn't know this, so that's why I like saying it. But I didn't realise that you can just work like a good average full-time job if you want. Like, you can just work at the news agency full-time and live, and like you can just work at Woolworths full-time and live. And I know that's a bit of a cliche that people mock, but I genuinely didn't realise that till I was like 22, 23. And if I had that sort of perspective, I wouldn't have felt the stress and pressure I had in year 12, even though I didn't really care about year 12.
Mate, it's so true. That's bang on. Another one is like normalise like not being overly passionate about work. Like, you don't have to go to work and live, like just sell yourself to an institution or a company just for the sake of it. Like, it doesn't need to work like that. You can just go to work to make money, get home and live your life. I think that's a big one.
I think I'll probably play the opposition here, in that I think like it is good to have a moderate amount of stress for example, year 12. And I think it, like, for me, obviously I'm come from a different perspective, but I think like that really ingrained this discipline in me to see how far I could push myself in terms of like balancing both sport and study and trying to get good results. And those habits I could carry through with me to all different aspects of my life. So I think like if you're in school, like, don't just use this conversation as a cop-out for you to like not try and just wag school. Like this is like the only thing you're doing right now. So probably give it your best shot, whether you use it or not. Like, I don't necessarily agree with like this format of schooling and how beneficial and applicable it is to real life, but like at least it'll give you a good basis whether you actually use the content in school. Like the habits you do build up, I think, are really valuable.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just going back to what we were saying before, like don't beat yourself. Like once you got the score is kind of what I was going at. Once you've got the score, then don't beat yourself up over it. Like what's done is done, and you need to figure out new things. Obviously, try your hardest in school would be my number one tip.
Yeah, I think those work ethics that you learn in school are super important. Like I was never someone to wag, and that's why like my ATAR, I can't believe it was so low, because I wasn't skipping class and I was just in there with no ticker, no desire to be there, and sort of in one ear out the other. And it all just crumbled down when I went into like the exams. Like I was really stressed out about it, even though I wasn't striving for anything and I knew it would be a bad score. But yeah, and even like those work ethics and those lessons early, I reckon, are key. And I'd try to make the best fist of it you could if you can. But don't rule out the rest of your life if it's 29.75 ATAR. You could still get on the 9 to 5 fitness pod.
Maybe, yeah. No, we have a prerequisite actually, mate.
Mate.
I'm sorry, guys. We might have to call this one.
I was the biggest dog when I came out of school. I was like the cockiest motherfucker ever. I'm not even going to. Maybe another time. Not on the Cados podcast. I won't mention it. I would like refuse. Don't flex on me. To hang out or like see girls with like less than a 95 ATAR. No, it was the most toxic thing ever. Like that was first year uni, like the biggest flog you've ever met.
Oh, that's gold.
And then it took me a little bit and took me a few pegs down, and I was like, no, what are you doing, mate? You're not going to make friends like this.
All right, we've got a few quick fire questions, which we're just going to whip through. I was meant to do them before that chat, but then we got pretty deep and I wasn't going to stop it.
Oh, we love the deep stuff.
Yeah, I know, we do. And we're just getting started here. So a few quick fire questions. So just, short answers, please.
No worries.
Favourite AFL player of all time, Cados?
Russell Robinson.
Ooh, who is that, Melbourne?
Yeah, D's, 24. Used to take all the hangers. Jeremy Howe before Jeremy Howe came into the comp.
Oh, I think I remember him.
Yeah.
Who's your hero?
Jeez, Harry Styles.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Harry Styles. What's your favourite meal?
Butter chicken.
Ooh, okay. Favourite animal?
Tiger.
I could have guessed that butter chicken response without it. Straight in.
Mild.
That's what Louis would go for. No, he'd find butter chicken spicy.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I actually do find butter chicken spicy. You need to chase it with some milk. What's your favourite beer?
Great Northern.
Ooh, not the sponsor. Okay.
Oh.
Carlton Draft.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think it's all CUB anyway. What's the best travel destination you've been to?
Jeez. Meetung, down near Lakes Entrance.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Have you been outside of Australia before?
No, never.
Oh, okay.
So
there's actually places outside there that are pretty cool. But
do they have butter chicken?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I might venture out there.
What is your biggest fear?
Oh, God. Everything. I'm very nervous. Everything.
I think we know your biggest fear, which we won't mention on the podcast.
I think I know who it is.
Reasons.
Oh, true. Yeah, definitely.
That person. What's your favourite movie?
Real random one. It's called What If. It's a rom-com.
Okay,
with
good
Daniel
by you.
Radcliffe.
And what's the weirdest message you've ever been sent, like via social media? You know.
The ones that I get. No, I've had a few. Sometimes I get people that want me on their podcast, but they don't have a podcast. And it's like, or it'll be their first podcast. And I love doing it, but I just go, oh yeah, I'll hop on your podcast, and they'll be like, all right, it's Ep 1, and I'll be on there for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Ep 1.
And it's like Ep 1, and then I sort of check on the podcast a little while down the track.
It's the only episode.
It's the only ep. So,
build a bit of a track record first, I reckon.
yeah, I've sort of gone, Ep 30 I'll hop on.
Yeah, Ep 30 and over.
But they're pretty, funny ones.
Yeah, that's a wild one. No, that's all part of it. All right, back into the content creation and being a content creator in Australia. Have you noticed a huge kind of tall poppy syndrome that you've had to combat?
Yeah. Sort of ingrained within me, ingrained within my friends. There was an element of like, when I was doing shit vids, there was a few mates that were like, what are you doing? But most of them were like, oh, keep going. And then you get to a point where I want to still talk about it to them. But sometimes it can be a little bit awkward. Like, as I said, like going home and going, oh, my TikTok flopped. They'd be like,
That's why it's so good we got this group and the group chat where we just because we're on the same page. We know how shit it feels when a video flops that you put heaps of effort into.
Or like, I had questions the other day. I was like, oh, do you guys... Because I want to post more reels onto Instagram and I don't know whether to spam the feed with them or because you can post them without putting them on the feed, but it still goes onto reels. And I was asking like questions like that, like asking my mate something like that, about what the hell. But yeah, there's definitely been a tall poppy syndrome just anywhere. And that's why like I don't put myself out as much as you guys and Prime do. And I think that's why you guys have got the followings really, really quickly is because it's very... Like we get to your personality straight away. That's no wishy-washy. It's like straight away we either like you or we don't like you, but you're getting to the people who like you quicker.
That's true.
I'm someone who I don't really like to give opinions away that much. I don't really want to say, oh, that bloke's shit or that bloke's good. I just sort of sit on the fence with a lot of that stuff. I sort of play it safe. And when you do give those opinions, you can get knocked down a little bit, but I don't know. It's all part of it. It is what it is. As I said about my nerves before, I'm a very nervous fella. I'd be nervous at a 9 to 5 that I hate. So I'd rather be nervous at a job that I absolutely love. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's certainly something we've had to combat is that kind of tall poppy syndrome, or not even combat, just like you come across it. You know,
just accept it.
You just accept it. It's all part of it.
It's everywhere.
Yeah,
I think it. Sometimes I go,
yeah,
that's a bit overrated, and then I go, well, what is overrated? Overrated is I like this thing, but I just don't want to say I like it enough. So it's like, oh, geez, the D's want a flag, they're overrated. It's like, just say they want a flag and they're good. Like, why are we... I hate the word overrated. It's pulling someone down, even though you are acknowledging that you rate them. It's like such a weird thing to say.
Yeah, it's bang on. Well, it's interesting, like that D's thing, that Gorn podcast. He was in, what was it? What's that podcast called? With Hugh Van Cuylenberg.
The Imperfects.
The Imperfects. It's quite a good podcast talking about how they all talk to each other. There was a few issues after that, but...
a bit of a relapse with the boys.
A bit of a relapse,
the people that literally get their dopamine hits from preying on other people's downfall and seeing them fail. Like, there'd be so many blokes out there who are intimidated by Bailey Smith just because he's extremely good looking and extremely good at football. Yeah. It's like, mate, he's doing well. He's doing well. Like, that doesn't affect you at all. You don't be preying on some bloke's downfall. And now they're all getting off on like his story now. It's like, mate, you're still nobody and you've done nothing. Like,
Bailey Smith's the prime example of overrated. Like, in terms of when people use it in the way that I don't like. So it's like, Bailey Smith, great looking, great footballer, big following. So when someone goes, oh, he's good looking, but he's a bit overrated. It's like, so he's good looking. Like, like you were just saying... Just say, like, why? Why you?
Yeah, you don't need to bring him down.
That's just tall poppy to a T.
Because they get, like, insecure about he's obviously way better. But, like, they get insecure. So they're like, how can I bring him down in any way? Let's pin something. Oh, he's actually not that good at footy. Or it's like, mate, no, he's a fucking jet and he's really good looking. Just, like, relax, bro. Like, that's...
Yeah, it's all good. Doesn't
affect you, brother. It doesn't affect you.
Billboards are unreal. And
he's so good looking.
Baz, talk to us.
Yeah, no, it's wild.
No, he's a superstar. And I don't know. I think I don't think it'll ever change. And I don't know whether it's a good thing because sometimes I like that my mate's form of affection is just telling me I'm shit. So sometimes I'm like, oh, sweet. My mate going, oh, you're a dickhead, mate. And it's like, he's like, it's a warm feeling. He's actually saying that he likes me. But there's been periods in my life where, especially in the last few years over COVID, where I was sort of like under the pump and footy left the state and some mates still felt the need to pull me down as like in a loving way, but I wasn't in a space to absorb it like that. So I'm sort of like going in with my head down and they're going, they're
trying to kick you in.
Geez, you're shit, mate. But they're trying to pump me up, but that's their way of affecting. And I was like, I'm not absorbing this the way it should be absorbed.
I want to get like a little bit deeper with that one because you can tell when it's like a mate just joking, but deep down they do want the best for you.
Yeah.
Like all the people I've got around me, like they might have a joke and be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But like deep down they want the best for you. And you can tell that. Whereas I have had people, which I've obviously cut out. They don't stick around for too long. Where it's like they give you shit, and like you can tell deep down, they're actually really jealous of what you're doing,
and they hide behind. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's like, I don't really think you are, man. Like I can tell by the tone and like the salt there, and you're actually probably sending this to all your other mates, telling them how shit I am. It's like you can tell that, and like, mate, I reckon that is the most toxic. They're like parasites.
You get them out pretty quick, don't you?
Well, Gorney spoke about on the pod how like banter is something that they tried to pull up a little bit at the club. I'm not great at blokey banter, and I never have been, because there is an element of truth to it, and there's an element of like, so there's some mates that I can do it with, but majority of people I'm not really into banter, because it just feels like we're insulting each other even though it's a joke. So like rocking up and going, geez, you were shit today at footy, oh geez, your haircut sucks, and it's like we're all joking, but it's like such a weird space
I'm a little
to
bit
be
the same, I reckon. Yeah.
So that's why Gorney was like from what I heard, he was sort of saying at the footy club, if we tone down that banter, then we tone down that sort of like negative
energies.
Yeah.
And he was talking about from like a professional standpoint as well, which I think is pretty important. I mean, like I don't mind a bit of banter myself. I also do get a little bit cut sometimes. But I think what like Gorney was especially saying in that podcast was that like in his profession, where he spends, you know, like 90% of his life trying to be the best ruckman ever, and someone comes in and says like, oh, you're not that good of a ruckman, that just like hurts into his core, and like that is not helping them as a football club go forward. So it's the same as us with content, you know, with let's say powerlifting for you, like people just making a joke, or you know, creating YouTube videos for you. It's like, well, we put so much effort and time into that, and people actually taking the piss out of it is actually pretty
I just
fair.
like have a zero tolerance rule now. As soon as I see negativity, I just block straight away. It's like, all right, you can never see my videos again then. Enjoy the band, brother.
Yeah, and then they'd be like, oh, no.
Oh, I've had people go up to me, it's like when I'm at the footy or something, they're like, they'll be with all their mates, and then one guy will go, Gab, can you please unblock me? I'm like, mate, you probably got blocked for a reason, honestly.
Geez, the in-person can you follow me is
fuck off, bro.
Is a funny one, but I reckon the in-person can you unblock me would be that's like another level.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. I follow like 10 people. It's like, bro, why would I follow you?
Not happening. Gab, we do need to keep a roof over our head just quickly. We've got some products that we want to keep, that we want to sell.
How fresh is this?
Yeah, you look unreal. Gab's wearing a blue singlet.
Yeah, but it's also got the white piping. Get on the YouTube and see it now, because this is, I reckon, the freshest tank top we've made. Our apparel line is absolutely popping off at the moment. You got the hoodie, the tracksuit. Have you tried it on? Do you like
the
it?
hoodie. I love the hoodie.
Yeah, don't like the tracksuit. The bottoms.
I haven't chucked them on yet.
Okay, hopefully they fit around the big tree trunks.
Oh, I think they might.
We got you a large, so it is getting really cold in Melbourne. By the time this is released, I will be in LA and it'll be a little bit warmer. Probably won't need the tracksuit there, but for those of you who are still in Melbourne and Australia, it's probably a little bit chilly, so make sure you get the compound joggers and the pump cover. You know, 6 a.m. grind to the gym, you walk, it's 4 degrees. But you got this nice toasty 9 to 5 tracksuit set on, and that'll keep you warm. We call it the pump cover for a reason, because you train halfway through your kind of workout, then you take the pump cover off and you got this fresh pump, and you're wearing the 9 to 5 compound tank, absolutely cupping your breasts, and you're looking jacked, and you just, you know, I reckon you need, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good in the gym.
When you play good?
Yeah, we don't need to mention that for the plug. So, like, make sure you're not just rolling around in your socks with holes in them and just looking like a peasant. Like, actually invest in your own attire, and you can use code podcast and you will get 10% off on all apparel orders.
Good stuff. Do you want to keep going or?
Nah.
All right. Well, good stuff. Podcasting, Cados.
Yes.
You've come onto the scene. You've boomed onto the scene and just gone smack. Whacked it on the charts. Gone number one.
Yeah, we've fallen down now, but it was good. We got the screenshot, and now it is what it is.
Yeah, get in, get out kind of thing. No, that's the way to go. Well, you're killing it with the podcast, and it's so good to see. We were lucky enough to be on an episode. I forgot what episode, but
really, like 4 or 5,
69?
I reckon.
Yeah. So how many episodes are you up to now?
First of all, thank you for the pump up. We've done 10 in the bank.
Congrats.
Thank you, boys. Yeah, it's been unreal. So I feel a little bit like Justin Bieber, because he was discovered on YouTube. by Usher, and I feel like Dill Buckley's sort of my Usher. He's sort of he's seen the YouTube content, and essentially I got a phone call in December from Dill Buckley, and it was random as like I was eating some avocado on toast, funnily enough. I was smashing some down.
I think we'll leave it there, guys.
Get out.
And I got this random phone call, and I thought it was this company that's helping me out with some footy jumpers that I'm trying to whip up. And I let it through to the keeper because I was starving, and I was like a bite and a half left, and I didn't want to let it go cold, so I let it through to the keeper, and then called them back, thinking it was them. I'm like, "Oh, g'day guys, how are you?" And it's like, "G'day mate, it's Dill Buckley." I'm like, "No, it's not. Of course it's not. Why would it be Dill Buckley?"
No way.
And then essentially he goes, "Oh, I haven't told you this yet, but we've been working on a show for you with Spotify. Would you be interested?" I'm like, "Yes, like of course." So yeah, from there we have been working like pretty much all summer to get the show in order. I went to Sydney for some pics, and working closely with Spotify, who they've been like unbelievable. And then obviously like in and around Producey and Dill Buckley's studio, they've got the cameras, the mics, the producers. So it's been such a great help. And speaking about like trying to get into radio and trying to have a show, I've had a couple of potties in the past which were doing quite well, as in like, bang average, just doing it from home. And it didn't feel like the show that I was after. So to finally come up and do something that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, a little bit more professional, and it's been sick. It's been really fun.
From the outside world looking in, it looks like you've taken to it like a duck to water. Has there been any hiccups along the way? Like, what have you found difficult in regards to podcasting and so on?
Oh, well, there's always hiccups. I've doxed myself a million times. I'm the most nervous bloke you'll ever meet, and going through COVID in 2020 and 2021, a bloke who struggles with like social stuff unless I'm doing it consistently, being locked away for a year and a bit, and then all of a sudden I'm driving an hour and a half from home. I'm in a room with 10 blokes. They're all working. The lights are on. There's 2 cameramen, there's a couple of producers, and AFL footballers there, and I've got to talk to them for 20 minutes. Those first couple of weeks were like so tough to get up. And first of all, it was like getting comfortable being in and around just people, let alone Dill Buckley and Tommy Mitchell, but just being in a room full of people was a little bit tricky. But I knew I could build that resilience, and it was just from being isolated for a couple of years. Like I found it really tough. Just making vids at home by myself in Geelong. So to come up now, and that's why I'm pumped to work with you guys, because it's like getting me out of the house, and working at Richmond now with Dill Buckley is getting me out of the house. So it was a little bit tricky early, but everyone has those pre-show nerves and until you feel comfortable. But now I'm starting to build that confidence. And what I do like is I feel like the people who were listening to Ep 1 and whatnot, I reckon they would have picked that up. But I feel like what gets me excited is the people that follow the show as it goes. They'll be starting to see the confidence build a little bit more. And I just want to keep growing it and making it the best thing I can.
How inspiring is it like being in that? We've been there like 2 or 3 times, I think. And it's like I feel really inspired every time I exit out of there.
Producey?
Really, yeah, lights a fire under my arse, and I'm like, I want to go conquer the world now. It's an amazing space.
Well, it is. Like, and Dill is just... like he's just so on the go, and he's got so many ideas with where he wants to take anything and everything. And I think you guys would have picked up that like he'll be like, "Oh boys, you need to do this. You need to do that."
Why didn't I think of that?
He's so onto it all, and it is very inspiring. And even just being in and around the studios, like I'm just name dropping just blokes, but like Daniel Gorringe will walk past, and it's like, oh, there's guys from Insta, and he gets around you and goes, "Oh, how's your show going?" And then your Tommy Mitchell swing by to do, list cloggers or whatnot. And there's just football players. It's just people galore.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Like checking the Instagram DMs and it's just the blue tick brigade. I'll just be with a girl and I'll pull up the old DMs. Like, it's nothing.
He just won a Brownlow.
Just chatting to my mates. Sorry.
Sorry, I'll be with you in a sec.
It is crazy. And, I suppose you can go one or two ways. Like, it's inspiring to be in there, but also a part of me was a little bit intimidated in terms of far out. Like, on Producey's Instagram, it's List Cloggers, Dylan Friends, Bromley Lynch, 200 Plus, which is Daniel Gorringe's new show. And I'm going, and goes all right. I'm going, well,
Well, they put you last for a reason, I reckon.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Got to work my way up the
Yeah.
ladder. But a part of me is going like, there's good names there. I can't just rock up and be
Imposter syndrome,
a
mate.
schmuck. I can't just rock up and not perform. So there was an element of pressure. So everyone's like, oh, that's great. You locked into a gig with Spotify, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not great until it starts to until it's good yet.
You learn pretty quickly that the Blue Tick Brigade are just people, hey? Like spending time with Dill, like you spent time with Gorringe and even talking to Tommy Mitchell, it's just humans. They're just people that go and play footy on the weekends or do something pretty different or exciting. I think that's 100%. The same with them coming on the podcast as well. Like you learn pretty quick, they're just people, and that's the beauty of the podcast. You can get a microphone in front of them and show other people that. Yeah,
well, I spoke about this on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, but one of the fan questions were, do you get starstruck? And I was like, yeah, I do, because I've never really been around footballers, and because we were from Geelong, we never went to Melbourne Footy Club family days, so I never met Melbourne players ever. So to be in and around them now, I'm 26, some of these blokes like 20, 21, and I'm still like, oh my God, that's bloody, that's whoever walks in. I just get so excited. So it's taking a little bit to get comfortable with them, even though they are just knockabout blokes who play a bit of Fortnite, play some golf, kick the footy. I'm starting to get a lot more comfortable doing it, but took a little bit to get used to.
Yeah, definitely. Have you had any real awkward moments on the podcast, or bits you've had to keep out, or even episodes you've had to keep out, or weird guests, or we don't need names obviously, but
oh no, there was a little issue. So we had Caleb Sarong over Skype, and when someone has Zoom or Skype up and it's on loudspeaker,
the playback,
it cuts out their talking. So when I was talking to Caleb Sarong, he'd be telling me some funny yarn. And there's nothing worse than when someone says a funny yarn and you don't respond in a way that encourages the story. Like if you just stay flat, they're like, oh God, am I not hitting, the right parts of the story? So he's telling me some funny yarns and I was laughing. I was like, this is so good, to encourage him. And also it was a pisser.
Yeah.
But then I can't hear him for 10 seconds. And I was like, oh God. So I was trying to laugh into the mic, but make sure it didn't pick up on my laptop. It was a bit tough. And I was like,
nothing worse than an online podcast, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard work, those. I'm glad we sacked them with COVID.
Yeah, no.
Nah,
yeah, no, yeah, they're tough. But there's always awkward moments because I'm not a professional. I'm far from it. And a part of me wants to make it really slick and like a well-oiled machine, but I'm trying to embrace that there's going to be ums and ahs and, oh, sorry, mate, wrong question. There are going to be moments like that, and we leave a lot of them in. There hasn't been too many howlers yet, though, so I'm pretty lucky with that.
I feel like the biggest nerves with podcasting is surrounding content and making sure there's no long pauses or no awkward silences.
Yeah.
I think as you get better, though, you just come to embrace it.
If you play it off well, I need some time to think about that. I think what makes podcasts great is they're just real. It's just a conversation.
Yeah.
For example, the one I was on the other week, he asked me this question that really stumped me, the best trait in an entrepreneur or something like that. And I was like, I need to think about that for a second. And it was 25 seconds before I spoke. It kind of built suspense. And that's me actually thinking about it. I'm not just giving you some rubbish response. So
that's what Kanye did in the Joe Rogan potty. He was on Joe Rogan, and after a couple of questions, Kanye would just stop. And
yeah, that's right.
Joe would let him go, and it'd be 30 seconds, and then he would respond.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it is powerful.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. Yeah, embrace the pause. Now we've got to keep a roof over our head 2.0. We've got two legends of companies that sponsor us. Firstly, we've got Tomorrow Skincare. Gab, do you want to explain what they do?
I carried the last one. Can you bloody do something for once?
Come on.
No, it's all right. I'm the best speaker on this show, so I guess I'll carry it because we need to make sales at the end of the day. But I'll be jetting off to America in 2 days' time, and I'll be bringing my Tomorrow Skincare stuff with me because I want all of that taken care of. So I'm taking the 4-step process. We all feel elite on it, and so you get. The idea is I'll be sweating up. It'll be summer in America, and I don't want that sweat just completely stuffing up my skin. So after I work out, I will have a shower. I like to shower before the gym and after the gym. No, I like to feel clean, mate. I'm not one of you filthy fellas. So after gym, I'll have a shower, chuck on the cleanser, right? And then, foam it up and get all the bacteria out, dry off the shower, spick and span, all of that, chuck the toner on, then the structure serum, and then the gel moisturizer.
Yeah, gel moisturizer.
And after that, mate, ready to hit town.
Yeah,
Feeling good, feeling
ready to go.
$1,000,000. Chuck some cologne on, bit of deodorant, bit of moisturizer on the body, and mate, we're feeling $1,000,000 and ready to roll. I reckon a good little. It's not girly or anything to have like a process like that, because like that's what we're even chatting about this the other day, right? How you feel like you can walk out of the house in 3 seconds. Just make sure you chuck a shirt and shorts on.
Yeah.
For me, like we were going out for breakfast, I was like, mate, I need to have a shower, I need to brush my teeth, I need to do my full routine, because otherwise I don't leave the house, and that's what makes me feel confident in myself. So I think having a process like that, like the Tomorrow skincare stuff, is absolutely fantastic. And it's just one less thing to worry about. And if you do want to pick up anything, the link will be in the description of the YouTube video, or you can go to tomorrowskincare.com, probably .au, and you can use code NTF and you'll get 20% off all bundles, all products there. I'll fling it to you, Louis, for the next sponsor.
Next up, we have Manscaped. We love Manscaped. They've been sponsoring us for a while. We've got the new Lawnmower 4.0, which keeps us in check, keeps the hair off our body around those delicate regions and areas. They've got a shampoo, conditioner, a body wash, like a 4-in-1 or something. They've also got a body spray, which I really love. It's like a moisturizing body spray. And one of my favorite products is their cologne. It's a fantastic option for like a daily cologne if you don't want to, spend too much on like a bloody, I don't know, what's a good cologne brand?
Tom Ford
Like
cologne. The one I got you?
Yeah. Then you can use this one. If you want to check them out or buy any of their products, it would help us out by using code NTF. You get 20% off and free shipping.
Awesome, thank you.
Good stuff. Right, next up, Cados. YouTube.
Yes.
The world of YouTubing.
Oh, yes.
It's a wild one. You're very good at it, but more importantly, younger kids and wanting to get into like content creation, how should they start? How should they have the confidence to do so?
Get TikTok.
Yeah.
Don't bother with YouTube. Essentially. So as I was saying, like starting YouTube, I had a webcam, I had a crappy laptop, and I had crappy software, and I was making crappy videos. But what's cool is like most kids at school have an iPhone or a phone of some sort that can actually produce good content. So I just love TikTok. I love how creative you could be. If it was 2016 when I was complaining about not getting into radio and TikTok was around, I would have started TikTok before YouTube. I now am in love with like 8 to 12 minute videos. I know some people can't sit through them, but I know a lot of people who invest in your content will. I love tuning into like stand-up comedians on the road doing travel vlogs and that 8 to 12 minute, that's not too long. It's not 25 minutes, but it's not 6 minutes where you're not getting enough. I just love that sort of content creation. But I think I would start with TikTok. I would build the audience. You can be consistent. You can post whenever you want. You can sort of hit eyes a lot better than on YouTube and build it from there. But if I was starting YouTube, I'd start TikTok first.
It's definitely the blueprint that we've gone through, isn't it, Gab?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't consider myself like successful in this front yet. It's something I'm still trying to grind towards, but definitely like building up that cult following on TikTok first, and then you can transfer some of them over to YouTube. Obviously, it's hard to kind of convert, but then grind onto YouTube afterwards once you've proven that you can provide value and people are interested in your content.
YouTube's so much fun. Like it's my favorite content to consume is that 8 to 12 minutes, and it's probably the best way to connect to people. I reckon podcast is a really good way to connect to people because if you listen to 50 minutes of someone, you know them.
Yeah.
But YouTube's a really great way to connect as well, and just I don't know, the style you can make. I find it really appealing, but I also advice for people starting on YouTube is like I got sucked into a little hole in the last few years, at home in Geelong in my room by myself, locked up, where I was like watching Logan Paul and watching David Dobrik and people like this, and I'm like, why don't my videos look like that? Like I've got to make a Logan Paul edited style video with drones and graphics, and so I'm like
full team.
Exactly. So I was trying to make my videos look a certain way when I should have just like, I think what is sort of endearing is the knockaboutness of like a bloke just having a kick of the footy. Like I do like to make them look as well as I can, but I don't have a full team of professional editors. So I think trying to stay in your lane, carve out a little niche on YouTube is really important, and you can't compare yourself to anyone else on the platform because YouTube is for anyone. Like there's so many little niches that people make videos out of, whether it's just them eating dinner every night and it's like a mukbang or whatever. And it's like they're not professionally edited, but they're banging views. So there's a market for everyone on YouTube and you'll find your little niche. So
Yeah, totally. Now with your success on YouTube and obviously TikTok as well, you get people coming up to you and fans meeting you. You mentioned before that you get a little bit stressed out, especially in like kind of like public or whatever you're saying.
Just anywhere out of my bedroom.
Yeah, how have you found that in regards to like people coming up to you? I mean, I remember you saying you went to the footy once and like you were with your dad and people were coming up to you and your dad's like, "Oh, hey, do you know them?" You're like, "Nah."
Yeah.
How did you find that?
It hasn't quite settled in with Dad. He's still really cut about the ATAR, obviously, and hasn't quite accepted where I'm at. I love it. I love it. I think I get more nervous before it happens. Like I might be down at Torquay where I live at the local ice cream shop, and there might be a bunch of kids looking at me and staring at me and talking about me, but I don't know if they've talked about me. So they're sort of like, are they going to say g'day? Are they not? Do they know me? Do they not? That build up, that's probably the worst of it. But when they go, Cados, and I go, g'day mate, how are you?
Yeah, then
that's fine. That's fine. I absolutely love it. So I encourage anyone to come up and say g'day. I absolutely love meeting like the numbers that are on the screen, like 70,000. I just go, it's 70K. To me, it's just like a game and I got to get the numbers up higher. But to think of that being 70,000 sort of punters in Victoria that go to the footy and are real, it blows my mind. So
when you put it into perspective, it's crazy.
Silly. It's so silly. But I'm starting to get a lot more comfortable with it all. It's never really bothered me. I do love that sort of stuff, and meeting anyone just really fires me up. So yeah.
Have you ever had any like negative experiences? Like anyone said anything rude? Or
early days on YouTube when I was sort of. It was more Facebook. My videos, like my songs, were getting shared to Facebook. I had some bloke come up at the pub and just tell me that, and he wasn't like aggressive, but he just told me that all my stuff was, and he used a sort of
expletive,
homophobic slur. And
really?
Yeah. But I don't know why that never rattled me. Like all that stuff, I was like, oh, okay.
Well, what'd you say to him?
I was like, yeah, my vids are a bit shit. Like they are, and they won't be in 700 videos. But I got to get to 700 videos for them to be good. Like I got to put the hours in. So
imagine how like what is happening in his life for him to go up to someone and like say that to the face. Like that's so rare.
It was almost right though, because they weren't they weren't that good at that stage. It was probably unnecessary for him to give me the feedback, but so I have had experiences like that. I've got one that I've spoken about a couple of times before, but I was at the footy once, and this is just a funny one, and some blokes came up, and I was right at the top of Marvel just chilling with a mate, and they sat the seat behind us, and there's like sort of no one anywhere near us, and it was just such a weird spot to sit, was like the seat behind us, and I sort of thought that he saw me on the way up, but I wasn't like confirmed. So this bloke and his mate sits behind us, and I'm just watching the footy, and I try and zone that stuff out, because if you start going, did that person that glanced know me? Did that person that glanced you'll go insane.
Go crazy.
So I try and just be like, no one knows me unless they say g'day. And I'm sitting there, and then I'm watching the game. In my ear, this bloke plays like one of my songs, and it scared me because I wasn't expecting it. So I'm just watching the game, and then I gave a free kick to Hawthorn or whatever it was, just started blasting in my ear, and I went, Jesus, like, oh, geez, awful tune, get that off. I think I cracked a couple of gags. And then he's like, oh, nice to meet you, mate, and took off. And then at half time, him and his mate walked up, and he goes, oh, can we sit here?
Oh, no.
And it's like,
lock in.
We're up the top of Marvel. There's no one anywhere near us. And I went, well, technically you can sit here, but like,
yeah, don't.
So that was pretty funny.
That's a ruined game of football.
Like 99.9% of people that I meet are just legends, and I get on with them because they sort of dress the way I did when I was 16, and they sort of got the footy shorts and the Kmart runners, and they play their AFL Evolution, and they play a bit of NBA 2K, and they love PE at school and they watch, you know, The Bounce on Fox. Like they're just sort of me 10 years ago. So I love meeting them and it's crazy that they're out there.
Yeah. Fuck, that's a long one. Someone sitting down next to you.
Yeah.
I reckon I'd be saying, sorry, mate, I'm just with my friends here.
I don't have that in me. I was like, all right.
Yep.
Do you want a beer, mate? I'm
in.
going down.
I bet he said yes. Did he ever? Mate, well, that's fantastic. Gab, I don't have anything else to you.
Nah, that's all. I think the GoPro has done us quite well.
Mate, the GoPro has hopefully done well for those watching on YouTube. Kados, you've done very well, mate. You spoke beautifully.
Thank you, boys.
It's so refreshing to have people on who just answer the question in the way that we expect, isn't it? So, mate, thank you so much for
wacky
coming
responses?
on. Nah, just like nice, long, consistent responses. That's what you kill for as a host.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, lads. I really appreciate it. And you blokes are smashing it, so keep it up.
Legend. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you. Bye.